How's it going, guys? My friend asked me to make a video explaining why people are bad at Counter-Strike. Essentially, I think a couple of my friends wanted me to help them play Counter-Strike. So all my friends are about Gold Nova Master MG1 level, and they're trying to get past that hump into like the MGE, the DMG, shit like that. So essentially, I wanted to help because I had nothing else to do, literally nothing else to do until I got a job this summer, so I'm just chilling, playing Counter-Strike. So I decided to help them out. So there's two halves of Counter-Strike. There's the strategic-based half, and then there's the individual aim-based half, right? Essentially, the aim-based half is summed up in the phrase winning fights and losing fights, and the strategic half is summed up in the word strat. So strats, if you're playing an individual based game like a pickup game in matchmaking or an ESEA pug or whatever, firstly you can't expect people to care all that much, right? Because they don't really, there's not a real benefit to playing these modes, right? So pickup games you get pug stats and stuff like that in ESEA. And in MM you get like a rank, but like not that many people care. So the strategic stuff, you can't really expect people to play with a team unless like you're in a team-based game like a CSGO League game or an ESEA League game or something like that, where the game actually matters, and then whether you win or lose actually matters. So that's all about making a team and shit. So you can't really expect people to be all in whenever it comes to like a pickup game. But what you can focus on in a pickup game, because if you call a strat, a lot of people are just gonna ignore it, right? Unless you get really lucky and you get an insane team with a bunch of dudes who actually care. A lot of people they're just not gonna. If you call like, oh, we're gonna do this on cat, we're gonna rush this, a lot of people are gonna be like, dude, it's just a pickup game, it's not really that deep, right? Or if you call smokes, people are just gonna ignore you and not even throw the smoke. You're gonna be like, hey, Orange, can you throw this smoke? Blah blah blah. Chances are he's not even gonna know what smoke you're talking about, and chances are he's not gonna throw it. So what you can focus on is the individual aspect of this game whenever you play MM or a pug, right? Individual aspect meaning shooting people in the head. So there's two parts of winning fights. There's the crosshair placement. Obviously you have to click your mouse one, or else your gun's not going to fire, so that's technically a third part. But there's the crosshair placement vertically. This is vertically, and then horizontally, okay? So we're going to talk about vertically first because it's more simple. So essentially you just have to keep your crosshair head level. So if there's a guy top mid who's running like this, from here to here, he's running like this, and you're deep cat like this, you decided to push up cat, you're CT side person, you have to keep your crosshair head level. The thing I hate about people, a lot of like lower ranks, and I see it even up until like DMG, people like aim at the ground, and I was really guilty of this before I started playing with like a lot of good players from my college. Like people would aim at the ground or like aim at hip level and then try to flick to people's heads and stuff. That's not really gonna work because it takes time for you to move your crosshair, right? It might be like you might just take it for granted, like this time, like to move from here to here, but it does take time. Right? So if your crosshair is already placed on the guy's head, all you have to do is click mouse 1. But as opposed to if you're aiming down here, then you see a guy, you have to move your crosshair to his head, and then you press mouse 1. There's two different steps there. And it might seem like not that important, but it's insanely important, because at high levels, such as DMG and on, it's kind of ironic to say high levels, DMG and on. So like high levels, like whenever you're playing like pros and stuff, like, or not even just pros, like Legendary, Eagle, Master, and on, right? It's all about times, right? Milliseconds. This game is about milliseconds. So whenever you're shooting people like this, if you're taking your crosshair from here to here first before you can even shoot, then that's bad, like, because it takes time, because that guy will already be shooting you if he has better crosshair placement than you. So that's vertical crosshair placement. Always make sure it's head level. So if I'm holding cat, right, if I'm a terrorist running up catwalk, I'm holding my crosshair like this, seeing if there's a guy at any of these corners. So if there's a guy standing right here, my crosshair is head level with him, right? And if I see stairs or an uneven surface, then I move my crosshair up to the next level where the guy's head's going to be, right? So if there's a guy holding right here and he peeks out like this, my crosshair is going to be like on his head, even if I'm down here, right? My crosshair is still not head level down here, right? Because this isn't the plane of question anymore. The plane of question is this plane right here. So then I move my crosshair to wherever the guy's head's going to be there. It's a lot more, it's a lot easier to explain on cache because there's a part of the map, stairs on A, where it looks really weird whenever you're holding your crosshair out like that, but it's part of the game, and that's part of the crosshair placement vertically. So that's vertical. Always just make sure you're aiming where the guy's head is going to be, and if he crouches, adjust your position, right? You should never be aiming at the ground because even if you shoot him in the legs, it doesn't do damage. So that's vertical crosshair placement. And then next is horizontal crosshair placement. So this is a lot more complicated. So if you're right here, right, taking a fight with a guy who's running across here, if he just runs across and you're not ready for him, right, you're just aiming out here somewhere and he's just fighting you. So he's standing right here and you're standing right here. You have to put his crosshair on his head, right? It's kind of hard to do this with a bot, but if he's running around this area, you just have to shoot him in the head wherever his head is, right? But then there's holding corners, right? So if you're holding a corner like this, right, this is horizontal crosshair placement in this plane, okay? So whenever you're holding this guy right here, if he peeks out like if he walks into this, right, if he doesn't expect you're there and he just walks it, he expects this guy to be down here and then you're all of a sudden right here, you can easily just shoot him in the head because all you have to do is press mouse 1, right? But there's this thing called wide peeking an angle. So if this guy's right here, right, he's going to win this fight if he wide peeks because you're closer, right? You're closer to this wall. Your crosshair is right here. And if he thinks that you're already there, if he knows you're already there, all he has to do is pre-aim you, run across your screen and shoot him in the head because you have to do this insane flick as he runs across here because it takes time to move your crosshair from here to here, right? So it takes time. So if you're holding this angle, you have to hit him in the head like this. You have to flick your mouse to him, but he's already aimed on your head, so he's going to get his killing shot off before you do because it takes time for you to move your crosshair from here to here. And in that time, he's already killed you, right? So that's wide peeking. So you have to like sort of understand sort of players, right? So people wide peek all the time because it's harder to kill you that way because you're moving, right? But if you pre-aim it correctly and know when the guy's coming, so whenever say you're right here holding a wide peek and the guy's running up cat, right? He runs across here, tries to shoot you, you can just shoot him in the head, right? It's really hard to hit him while moving, but if you can, great, shit like that. So now we're gonna talk about winning individual fights. Each map has angles, right? Every single map has an angle. So right now, this video, we're going to be talking about this angle on Dust 2. So there's a CT standing over there, right? He's behind these boxes holding you on Dust 2 like this. He's standing right here waiting for you to peek out, and he's got these boxes as cover, right? There's so many ways to take this fight. Now, this fight might not seem that special to you because it's just one angle out of like how many angles there are on this map alone, and then there's so many different maps to play. But each angle has so many different ways you can fight it, and the mark of good players is understanding how to fight certain angles and how to win. More importantly, how to win certain angles, because the more angles and fights that you win, the more rounds that you win, and the more rounds that you win, the more games that you win. It's just builds on itself, right? So we're going to be talking about this angle. Say he's holding from over there and you're coming up catwalk right here. Say he has an op. Say he has an op. Say he's an op. So he's opping right here, right? He's opping, right? So there's many variables here. So do you have a flashbang? Do you not have a flashbang? Do you have a smoke? Do you not have a smoke? What gun do you have? Do you have a Galil? Do you have an AK? There's so many different things, and that's why Counter-Strike's so complicated of a game. So if you have an AK, let's say you have an AK, and you're trying to one-tap this dude wherever he is. He's holding from there, he's holding from behind the barrels, whatever. Where you don't know where he is, but he is behind the box. That's what the situation is right here. So what you're doing is you're checking every single corner he can be, right? So if he's right here, then you're trying to check this. You don't know if he has an op yet. Okay, so if you check like this, right, and he has an up, you're going to die, because all he has to do is pre-aim this corner, and he's going to kill you. But if you throw a flashbang, he might hide behind that thing now, and then you just pre-aim the corner and wait for him to come out. But he's not there, he's not goose, he's behind these boxes. So you do the same thing. So you've already wasted one flash, okay, say you started out with 2. Now you throw another one, right? You could check multiple angles with one flash. So if you throw a flash, right, he's not here, you wait a second, this guy's probably still flash. So you throw your flash, check this angle, he's not there, you check this angle now. But the thing is, there's different ways you can do this. So you can throw a flash and you can peek before it pops, and like hold this angle, like you've already established your position and you just wait for him to come out, right? Or you can throw your flashbang and then you can hold behind here and wait for him to come out, and then, or you can throw your flashbang and run up here and take advantage of him being flashed. Now this is really risky because there could be a guy who's over there who's not even flashed at all, shit like that. So there's multiple different options here, right? And it's all about trusting your aim and hitting him in the head, right? So that part's assumed. Let's assume that you can already hit people in the head. Let's assume you don't suck, right? So this way, so if the guy does the first option, if he's just holding there, right? This guy comes out. If that guy does not instantly headshot this dude, this guy's dead. You just shoot him in that freaking body with an op, right? Second option, if this guy's holding, right? He dodges flash, or he gets rid of his flash. He doesn't know where this guy's gonna be if he's holding back here, and then this guy just runs out and stops, right? If he just runs out here, right? This guy, this opper on A site has to flick shot this dude to kill him, right? He has to go like, he has to hit an insane shot right there. And that's all about whether or not the opper can hit the shot, right? He has to hit the shot for him to be alive. Because if this guy wide peeks, opper misses, the chances are this guy's going to shoot him in the head right away. So this guy wide peeks like this. If he's not dead, if the opper misses a shot, then he shoots him in the head, right? And that's all about winning fights. But the same way that the terrorist can peek differently, the opper can do different things too. So the opper, if he gets flashed, right, he could wide peek like this and crouch and then shoot the terrorist. If the terrorist runs out, the opper could go like this and then shoot the terrorist. So it's all about different ways of peeking angles. That's all about what fighting is in this game. You have to understand how to win certain fights on every single angle of this map, and then all of the other maps if you want to be good at this game. And that's what Counter-Strike is, bro. Like, that is it. So to be good at Counter-Strike, you have to win fights, because fights win you rounds, and rounds win you games, and games win you games for your ego or your badge or whatever. So winning pickup games is all about winning individual fights. And that's why you can see the best players started out winning fights in pickup games, and then they went on to the strategic points, shit like that. All the best players in the game, such as Stewie 2K, Swag, all those really, really good players, all can win fights individually. Like Stewie 2K is a really good example. He almost never loses a one-on-one fight. So you have to understand, you have to predict what your opponent's going to do, and yeah, pretty much. So I hope this was helpful. If it wasn't helpful, leave a dislike. I don't really freaking care. If it was helpful, leave a like. I don't care either. If you have any questions, freaking post them in the comments or add me on Steam. I think my Steam's in the description. But other than that, thank you guys so much for your time. Hope this was helpful. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for your time again.